hardest thing is for couples to start talking about infidelity. They feel then they're already in trouble. So they like this assumption that we know what we mean by infidelity, and that if we have to talk about what we mean by it, then we're already in trouble.
And I imagine 99% of us are all doing this exact same pattern. And probably at least half of the people out there are feeling in some way that someone has hurt them and cheated on them or spoken to somebody that they didn't want them to speak to. And wow, we have set ourselves up for failure. Hey, I'm Jen, host of the Open Bedroom podcast, where you'll find topics of sex, dating, relationships, non-monogamy, and more. I'm glad you're here. Let's dive in. Back to the Open Bedroom podcast. Today I have on Mindy Glover. Mindy is a therapist and relationship coach who helps couples move beyond the old infidelity script of blame, punishment, and earning trust back, and into the deeper work of building a relationship where authenticity, desire, and sustainability can exist. Today, we're going to be talking about cheating and open relationships. So today, Mindy and I are going to talk about, can you still cheat in an open relationship? Mindy, I'm curious, how did you get here as a coach? How did you get into this world of cheating and fidelity? And it's a very kind of niche topic that you help couples with. So talk to me a little bit about how you got here.
Well, I love infidelity.
Said no one ever.
From a very young age, infidelity impacted my family, and I grew up around it and knew of it. And I was so perplexed because I also was a really strong woman of the 90s growing up and felt like I had so much freedom and I could do anything. And then I was but there was still this one thing that seemed to be able to knock women out. Mm-hmm. And I was how can we give so much power to some guy's penis? And so I really became fascinated with it because we can control a lot, but there's this one thing we can't really control in relationships. And so why would we make ourselves so vulnerable to it? And so I really became fascinated with how could women take that off the table and it not be a problem. And so I got really fascinated with that. On the other hand, the flip side of it, I really got fascinated that affairs are hot. Some of our steamiest romance novels and movies, and the hot sex is the secret sex. There's that secrecy around the forbidden that you kind of can't escape. Mm-hmm. And so I was fascinated with both of those aspects of it. And I really wanted to be able to help couples move through it and it not be a deal breaker. I was just so perplexed. Why, out of all the crappy things that people do in relationships, why is this one thing have to be the deal breaker?
Yeah, I want to start there because you're right. There is nothing worse than a woman scorned, a woman cheated on, this energy that I've watched so many people carry of he cheated on me. I've been cheated on. And I'm is that what you want to carry forward in your life? Is hi, I'm Jen and I've been cheated on? That's a really shitty thing to drag. I imagine a suitcase and you're just dragging all these relationships where somebody hurt you in that way. So let's just start there. Why? When you started doing research or you've had coaching clients, why is that the thing that becomes the deal breaker, that becomes this definition of who we are? And why does it fucking hurt so bad?
Well, I started to think what does it mean to be in relationship with someone? Mm-hmm. How do we know we're in relationship? And so one way is we try to build this security, mm-hmm. and we get to know everything about them. And we are building this ground under our relationship. And the more and more we know about them, we know everything they do, we know everything they think, we build this security and it feels like a ground and we know what it is. Mm-hmm. And I think what is the wild part that infidelity can do in no other way that anything else can do is it wakes us up to the fact that we actually have no fucking clue what our partner is actually thinking or doing. but we have this delusion that we do. And that's what makes us feel secure is I know them so well. Oh, I know what they're thinking. Oh, they would never do this. All these things are what bring the security. And then when they do this act of you were doing something else, you were thinking of someone else, and that becomes apparent through infidelity in a way that it doesn't really even like, oh, you spent $50 on gambling, and you didn't tell me about it. That's, pisses someone off, but it's not necessarily, it doesn't pull the whole ground out from you. But I think infidelity wipes that grounding away, and all of a sudden you don't trust your reality anymore. And I feel like that's the hurt. So I do have a lot of empathy for people who go through it, as much as I would like to make light of it and talk of it and reframe it and look at it. I do have a lot of empathy because that shock, that feeling that what you thought was your ground underneath you is gone, is so painful when it falls away.
So I'm hearing we build a relationship with someone based on the projection of what we put onto them, of who we think that they are, what limited information they've given us. And then we feel deception has happened when we uncover more about who they really are. Not that they're good or that they're bad, but I'm thinking about little things like the person that catches their partner looking at porn. And for
Mhm.
you, that's a huge no-no. That's like your dad had a sex addiction, or like you were Catholic and that was wrong, or whatever it is, right? And he's just like, I've looked at porn since I was like 12, dude. Like, what are
Right.
you talking about? Or like you find out your partner talks with other opposite gendered people on the internet and has conversations with people and has like a whole world that you don't even know about. And then all of a sudden you feel deceived, but there was no deception. Like this is their normal, like they're chatty. They're chatty Cathy. They like to talk to everybody.
And
Oh,
I
I can
think this
imagine the
is a
nuance in this.
problem. Well, it's the problem with monogamy in a monogamous culture is that
Mm,
there is an assumption of what infidelity is.
hmm
And you walk into a relationship and it's like infidelity is like Monopoly, the board game. You walk into the board game of Monopoly and you assume the other person plays it the same way that you do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Only to find out they don't put $500 in the
In the
middle to
kitty.
start.
Right. Which is the
Right.
only way to play Monopoly.
Exactly. But and then it's the hardest thing is for couples to start talking about infidelity. They feel then they're already in trouble.
Hmm
So they like this assumption that we know what we mean by infidelity, and that if we have to talk about what we mean by it, then we're already in trouble.
And I imagine 99% of us are all doing this exact same pattern. And probably at least half of the people out there are feeling in some way that someone has hurt them or cheated on them or spoken to somebody that they didn't want them to speak to. And wow, we have set ourselves up for failure. This is not the way I thought this podcast was going to go, by the way. This is amazing
Oh,
because my mind feels like it's just been blown open, which I hope everyone listening is feeling the same way. And so I don't want to jump to the conclusion, but tell me that like you have conversations that we should be having, that there's some sort of like checklist or shit like that that we should
there
start at
is,
the.
and
Okay.
I think that's where like why couples are exploring open relationships because I'm kind of thinking like, okay, so we there's this big fear out there, infidelity. So we try to protect ourselves from it. And so how do people try to protect themselves from it? I think some people go on the this won't happen to me
hmm
and they control, like they
hmm
try to control, you can do this, you can't do this, no being out after midnight, threats, ultimatums. So that's one way is through control. So that word is this won't happen to me, meaning they're in control.
hmm
The other slight shift in the verb to say, this would never happen to me,
mm
I feel like falls in the delusional side of wanting to believe and all these people can live very happy, very secure relationships by either controlling it'll never happen or it would never happen to me. My partner would never do that and really believing that veil. And maybe their partner is or not, but they're under the belief it would never happen. And then the other thing is, I do think some people move into open relationships as a way to start protecting them from infidelity, only to find out it still shows up. But when they're talking about open relating, they're talking about, let's talk about what infidelity looks like, and let's make some open agreements about what that looks like. Unfortunately, there's still cheating in open relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Even when they say we can talk about anything, there are still things people find it so difficult to share, especially about either their sexuality, their desire, or even their emotional needs. So it goes both ways. It's not just sexual shame, there's some emotional shame. So, okay, so let's look at it. Did we talk about, okay, so let's make these agreements. Let's say like open relationship. This is a bonus of it. We're going to talk about this openly, whether you're even going to ever act on it or whatever. Maybe this is a great model, right, for all relationships of let's put it out on the table. Here is the problem, and this comes from neuroscience. We have a blue brain and a red brain. Kenya K. Stevens talks about it as like you're either at 0 in her Progressive Love Academy, or you go up to 10. And so sometimes we talk about it in psychology too, of like an elevated brain. But as far as neuroscience, the blue brain and the blue brain is our calm, cool, collective brain. We can see other perspectives. We can kind of look at our own part that we take in things. But as soon as we start to get elevated in emotion, and this could be anger, excitement, arousal, we get into our red brain. And we make different decisions in our red brain than we do in our blue brain. For example, there is a podcast on this, and it looks at this and it shares the story, opens with a story of a young woman who really likes to have anonymous sex or kind of hookup sex, but she has a bargain with herself as she can do this as long as she always wears a condom. So she goes over to meet this guy at his apartment. They start having sex. It's really hot. They don't use a condom. She goes home. Shame, blame, what's wrong with me? This isn't who I am. I'm never going to do this again. Same guy calls a week or two later. She's like, all right, I'm going, but I'm going to use a condom this time. And we all know how this ends.
Yeah.
She gets there. She has sex. She doesn't use a condom. And so how can we be two different like people inside? Like where we're not even aligned with ourselves. This isn't about cheating or lying to our partner. This is about not even being true with ourselves. And so the way that neuroscience explains it is in your blue brain, you are very logical and stuff, but as soon as there's arousal, we make different decisions. And we all probably can see this even with our partners in the bedroom. If you do fantasy talk, or if you do anything that when you start off, you're kind of like, not really into that tonight. But then as you get more aroused, all of a sudden anything seems possible. And then the arousal dies. And again, you're like, yeah, I'm not going to do that again. And so the problem with open relating and making our agreements is we make agreements when we're in our blue brain. And we're expecting our partners to adhere to those agreements when they're in their red brain. And the only people that are really trained well to do that are very high up military people who actually train under duress to make blue brain decisions when they're in a state of arousal, fear, anxiety, anger. And most of us are not trained.
No.
We're not that talented. We are behest to our red brain behavior.
So I'm hearing we're all going to fuck up. Like it's inevitable. Like every single person, even the person going, here's the rules, here's the box, here's what you have to do, here's what you have to stay in. Like even they're going to fuck up. Right?
I do feel that way. I know, especially a lot of people who fall in the ethical non-monogamy camp do not agree with that. They're very much like, no, we have agreements, we've talked about it, and to fuck up in that way is to be non-ethical. So but from my experience and from knowing humans, I think there is a chance we all will. And then when we fuck up, it's really hard to tell our partner that we did that
Mm-hmm.
because we feel our own shame, we feel our own guilt. And so then what we also have in open relating that isn't talked about is a reporting problem. How do you report back to your partner what went on when you were on an approved date?
I'm like, you don't.
And you're right. And some people have that don't ask, don't tell agreements. I gave you permission. You go, you do your thing. I don't want to know when you come back. But some people do want reporting.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
think it's for us, at least it's based on how you're wired. So for me, I'm the like, I'll tell you everything. What do you want to know? Like, it's so hot. Please share with me your juicy night. Did she come 12 times? How'd you do it? Like, I want all
Hmm.
the details because I think it's hot. My husband is like, I don't need to know. Have a great time. Tell me
Yep.
when you're home. Like, let me know you're safe. When are you going to go out again? And I think there, of course, there's wiring all in between then. But for
Totally.
me and my thoughts, it's just like, what do you want to know and what do you not want to know? And then, like, I'll honor that. But I hear what you're saying. Like, does there need to be like a book report back? What do you think?
I think it really depends. Like you said, every
Okay.
person is different. And what I love is that it doesn't have to be the same. What
Hmm.
I heard from you is that because one likes to share and the other one doesn't, that doesn't mean there's a problem. It means we have a different relationship, like our own way we're relating to this information, how we're dealing with it, how we're processing it is different. For some people, and it gives them more sexual arousal to hear what their partner did and they enjoy it. Yeah.
That's me.
And and then for some people, there is embarrassment or shame, or sometimes the couples can get caught up in the details of like someone might share more emotional stories first of, oh, they said this, and the other person can get frustrated. Like, why aren't you telling me about the sex? Are you hiding the sex? So the reporting can get real sticky.
Can I also add, this is something I've been thinking recently because we just had a veer off from our typical dynamic, which is we only date together, we only date as couples, we only date women. That has been our traditional dynamic that we have followed for 4 years. We just finally opened to something different and then
Mhm,
have decided we're not sure if that's going to work, but my husband dated someone by himself for the first time with
mhm,
my high encouragement. And one thing that I have noticed is I think within each partnership, like me and him and her, me and whoever, there's something to honor within each partnership. Like there might be that, like, let's say I'm dating someone and they're like, hey, I really don't want you to share everything that goes on between us with your husband. Like it
right.
feels like there's crossover that can get messy in terms of things that you say, things that you talk about, things that you go do, intimacy that maybe doesn't need to be shared, that there needs to be some sort of delineation. Because if not, then the married couple always gets to like share all the details, but then maybe you're not sharing back downstream. It just seems very messy to me. So I'm curious about your thoughts about like each individual kind of container of relationship and at least some of that maybe not crossing over. And what does that look like? I don't know. Again, this probably is unique to the individuals inside of it, but I'm curious what
But
you think.
it does get messy
It
because
does.
I was in this, what I was saying earlier, like what makes a relationship. What I came up as like the base level also is people are like, where are you putting your sexual parts?
Yeah. Are they
And
covered or not?
yeah, and who do you tell your stories to?
Mm. Hmm.
And you just hit on that with like this dilemma of now, if you bring in another partner where there might be more relationship feelings, it doesn't get easier when you open relationships. It gets more complicated, more because there are more relationships happening. And like you said, there is some feel or natural need, like we should honor this other person who might have a perception of what the relationship is, and they might feel hurt if their stories are shared, right? But this really becomes like, who are you telling your stories to? who are you telling? Like, I'm married to my wife and and I tell my wife I'm going to have a date
Mhm.
with my partner. But on my date with my partner, I talk to them about how I secretly masturbate in the shower.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
I don't tell my wife that. I can tell my wife that I'm on a date, but I can't, but I like to tell my other partner about what I do in secrecy.
Yeah, because they're cool and my wife would freak out about it.
Totally. Which really isn't anything more than
Know your audience.
as humans, we have an ego that likes to protect our story
Ugh, yeah, that's true.
and that people do show up differently in different relationships. And that's part of actually the beauty of open relating because we do get stuck in how we can show up with our one partner. And then we have this new partner and we can show another part of ourselves that maybe doesn't get to play as much in our long-term relationship.
God, I feel like my brain just keeps getting blown open. That is so true. I was looking over here to the right for a moment because I listened to this audiobook on Spotify. If you guys have Spotify, this audiobook is free and it's called More, a Memoir of Open Marriage by Molly Roden Winter. And it was so interesting to listen to her story of being in an open relationship, especially we're talking about all these messy parts. She talks about her experience in first person, but then you also kind of get this like parallel story of the husband in some ways. Like she's bringing in basically, he's got open relating figured out. He is calm as cucumber. He has long term partners. He doesn't tell Molly, his wife, a whole lot other than, hey, I'm going to go out with XYZ. And he is happy, happy little dude. Her experience in open relating is wrought with frustration and one night stands and like, what is it that I want? And like hot office sex and like drama. And it's interesting because she'll keep kind of calling in the husband whenever she needs to feel grounded again. When her whole
Mm.
world of open relationships and all these other people she's seeing feels crazy, like he's the one that keeps grounding her back in and making her feel solid. And it's really sweet the way like his presence is so grounding every time. She'll call and he'll be on a date with his person and she's like having a total meltdown. And he'll be like, "Hey baby, like what is it that you need today?" Just really calm and okay, let's talk about this when I get home and I'm going to hold you and we'll talk it out and I'll bring you your favorite ice cream and I just thought like how interesting. What an amazing example where even in just a couple if you're, dating other people, how it can look like one person's got it figured out. They are this very secure attachment, right? And then
Hmm.
this other one is just like spiraling everywhere and he's kind of like I'll hold space. Do you want to talk about it? Cool, I'll listen. But I'm not going to tell you all about my stuff because then you're just going to pick it apart and find fault and find things I don't do for you. But you're right, we're all so different and we're going to react differently. And we have different kinks and needs and desires and like fantasies and music we like to go see. Like that's why we are in open relationships, right? Because to find those other people that are like, cool, I want to do that kinky shit too. Cool, I want to go see that band too.
And we
That's
get different parts of ourselves that to come out when and it's kind of like when we make a long-term relationship with someone, there's this unspoken rule of some parts of you are welcome and some parts of you aren't.
yeah.
Yeah. And you find happiness in that, and that's okay. But it doesn't mean those other parts still aren't there and like to come out and play. They don't maybe want to be, maybe the person we are with our partner is all the parts we like the best and who we're generally most comfortable with. But sometimes we want to go let these other parts play, but we don't want to live in those worlds. We just want them to play for a while. But I think it's hard being the partner that watches, like, I don't see those parts of my partner at home.
Mhm.
I think that sometimes for men is a harder struggle is they see maybe a playful or wild or adventurous sexual person come out of their partner, but that partner doesn't want to show that part always at home. They want the more secure relationship. So
Yep.
on the husband thing
Yeah.
of the story that you told,
Yeah.
what I am curious about and very interested in is what I'm framing as poly bypassing
Okay.
in a way that we would talk about spiritual bypassing.
Mm-hmm.
And when we're talking about spiritual bypassing, it would be like, I'm always in my higher self. Everything is happening to nothing's happening to me.
It's
This is
all
all for
for
my
me.
growth.
Yeah.
This is all for me. Okay.
Which I'm a little
That's a
that
nice,
most of the time.
that is, we all are. We
I
all
know.
have that. But to live in that all the time is
Hmm.
bypassing the realness of our hurts, our fears, our ego. And so I
Yeah.
think sometimes people join in the poly world and are and say, I have no jealousy, everything's okay, everything is just nothing. But and that might be attractive. So for the woman who wrote this book, what I'm curious is that might be what attracted to her husband, but I'm wondering if it sometimes really pisses her off.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
you don't have any jealousy. You don't where are you in here? Like you're
Well, and
not
she's also
addressing
much more
any of your
like,
real
it's
feelings.
not fair that you're so secure and happy with your one fucking girlfriend. Like, I'm over here with seven different people and I hate all of them.
Oh, which is the other hard part of open
Yeah.
relating is that when it's going well for one, but it's not going well for you. Like you can't always match the
Yep.
energies.
Yes. So if we circle back around to what is cheating, it sounds
Hmm.
to me like it could be 100,000 different things just depending upon what one person in the partnership feels versus the other, what they saw growing up, what they experienced from their own parents or saw on television or their priest told them, right? So
Right,
like how do you even start? What do you do? Right? So let's pretend like my
right.
husband and I, we've decided we're going to open up our relationship. And then we're like, but how do we set guardrails around, protecting our marriage? Because that's usually like the first sentence that I hear as a coach. What do you suggest
Yes.
people do?
Um, I have each person write their own infidelity story.
Mm.
And so in that story, it's kind of three main components. First one is what is my history with infidelity?
Hmm.
Like, did it happen in my family? Did it happen to me in high school? Did it, what was my experience with it? The second one is what does it mean if my partner cheats on me?
Mm.
And then the third one is what does it mean if I cheat on my partner? So in there, you're going to get words like um, blindsided, um, trust,
Hmm.
unworthy, not good enough, stupid, vulnerable. And these are all the trailheads to where the real hurts are when something triggers that we call it infidelity. But those are going to be the areas that as a couple we'll keep coming back and looking at. And these are the healing areas. These are the spaces that, oh, this hit this trigger of I'm not good enough. So it's not about was this activity right or wrong. It's about Lisi, that activity hit this thing of not feeling good enough. What's going on for you that you're not feeling good enough? And we work on healing our own kind of attachment wounds or issues or
Hmm.
relationships to um, being abandoned or being whatever comes up because each story is going to be different and it's really interesting when the couples compare their stories also because they don't have the same meaning around it, so you start there.
Okay.
Then you do start with the kind of agreements of what I'm comfortable with or not, but you also look at where they're coming from, like not just this is a hard and fast rule, but this rule protects a certain fear or something I have.
So are you honoring the fear that they have by creating this super comfy rule? Because I imagined agreements can get pretty crazy. Like we've seen some where,
Totally.
especially in the swinger world, when we first started, we weren't swingers, but we ended up in this kind of world full of swingers. And I heard stuff like, am I allowed to kiss your husband? Am I allowed to have anal sex with your wife? Am I allowed to fall in love? Like there were all these rules that you could and couldn't do, and every single partnership had a different dynamic, and you had to ask all the rules up front, and then you had to try to not step on the rule, especially if you were in multiple partnerships. You had to remember all the rules for all the different partners. I imagine that this gets really
Crazy. And I think it's
frustrating.
why people start, a lot of people, when they think about opening, they start in the swinger world
Mhm.
because a lot of times what people want is they think they know their partner. They want to know everything about them. They've made these agreements. So now when their partner does something, they feel like they're still in control because they know what's going to happen. And in the swinger world, then there is this, well, if we're there together, I even know more what's going to happen because I see it. But
Mm.
that's not even true, right? There's like the secret behind the backhand hold that someone didn't know about. And, that was, I saw you holding their, if they had an agreement, they could kiss, they could fuck, they could do whatever. But I saw you hold a hand behind someone's back, and that we didn't agree to that. We didn't agree to that kind of intimacy, right? So they're going to want to make these rules to make
Mhm.
themselves feel that they're in control. Um, and if you even, I think of it as what I think is fascinating is that most people will agree to almost anything if their partner told them up front. And so we have this weird thing going on. And I hear it from couples all the time. If he would have asked, or if he would have told me, or if she would have asked you, I wouldn't have been bothered by it.
Yep.
But because it wasn't agreed upon beforehand, that is actually the infidelity.
Hmm.
And so it's like if we put things in a category, things your partner can do if you agree to hand beforehand, the list is really big.
Yeah, I can see
Things
that.
your partner can do if they tell you a week later that they did it, start going. Things your partner can do if they tell you 2 months later, the list starts getting really small. So we start to see we actually have to work on our need for control.
Okay. That's not what I thought you were going to say. I thought you were going to say we need to work on our ability to ask for permission. That is not ex at all what you said.
Because permission comes in a blue brain state.
Yeah.
And blue brain state is not arousal. And blue
Yeah.
brain state is not sexy.
No.
Like when we're in arousal, asking for permission, sorry, um, our wonderful culture of getting consent, it also rips away sexiness. And we're in this
Yeah.
really difficult place where women want respect and men want respect and they want to do the right thing. But also, what's really sexy is to just be taken and just
Yeah.
someone to, yeah. And so we're in this really difficult. So, what we're basically saying is, I want you to operate in blue brain and red brain at the same time.
So what would work then is to just be like, we've decided we're going to be in an open relationship. We're not going to put a gazillion rules around this. Like, I trust you. Have fun. Have an amazing time. I'm going to tell you if I want you to report back to me what happened or not, or if I'm interested in hearing. Like, I don't think like controlling the person and making them report back, but saying like, I'm open to hearing what happened. I think that'd be interesting, or you don't need to tell me. I hope you have a great time. And then just like sending your person off. Like, that's the
I
healthiest
think
way to do this.
I think that it's a healthy way, but I don't think that can happen at first. I
Okay.
think you get there after many heartbreaks and you have to feel infidelity. You have to feel all those things I said you put in this list of what does it mean if my partner's cheats on me? What does it mean if I cheat on them? You have to deal with because you are going to feel this shock wave
Hmm.
of shock that, oh, they did what? And what you have to get better at is managing that shock wave and finding your grounding again. And then when I think you have gone through that, experience and you've come back together, what normally happens is people try that, they feel those infidelity feelings, and they say, I don't trust you.
Yep.
And then we're closing our relationship back up. And we're going back to pretending we're in monogamy.
Yep.
And pretending there's illusion of you should just know what to do. So what I encourage is to feel those feelings of infidelity and those ruptures and to lean in to them and talk about where the hurt was, where the growth, and not to say, instead of saying you can't do that again, we work on, I'm going to go in bigger to myself and understand what is my insecurity around being good enough. Why do I get insecure when you date a really high power woman? What am I doing with my own career that's making me feel so insecure? How can I be grateful for this woman instead of so fearful of her? So there's that, and then I think eventually what you just described is where couples can get to, but I don't know if you can get there from day one.
We're not there 4.5 years in.
Yeah.
We're still tweaking the can and can't list.
Mm-hmm.
But I love what you've said about it's a you thing. It's not a them. It's not a controlling your person. It's a you looking at your own shit and going, why does this make me freak out? Why do I
Right.
feel such a loss of control? Why do I feel like I want to apply more control? Or why do I feel like I need to flee? I'm
Mm-hmm.
leaving. We're getting
Yes.
divorced. We're
Yeah.
going to sell this house. You don't
Yeah.
respect me. You don't love me. I feel hurt, disrespected.
And
Yeah.
all those arguments will come, and there needs to be space for all those arguments without it being a deal breaker.
Can we talk about when you're in it? When you're in it, you're in the soup. Like there's been really hurt feelings or rupture of some kind. What do you do? Do you sit in it? Do you, like you said, do you close back up? Do you close back up, allow some time for healing, and then go process all of this and figure out your own stuff out of it? Like, what's the best
Well,
protocol?
I do think Kenya K. Stevens up level coaching that she does, giving couples containers to vent in and then to process. I wonder why this bothered me so much is like critical to having. So, and I'm trained in Kenya's up level. And so
Okay.
I use this with couples too. And it is really creating a venting container to manage these kind of high conflict because you are going to be going through much more conflict. And some couples are just like, I don't want to do it. I don't want this much conflict. I want to put my blinders on. I want to go. And I also look at that as not all of us are ready to look at those wounds inside. And that's okay. There's no rush. That's not a judgment on someone. That is that we're just not ready. Like there could be some really dark, scary places in there. And if we don't want to go, we don't need to be in a relationship or with a partner that keeps showing us those dark places. So we can choose, I don't want to look at this right now. But if we want to keep looking at it and growing, using some sort of communication tool or agreement tool where you have a safe place where you can vent, you can be heard, you know how to manage the really tough things that come up. And then once you're heard and understood, you can go and use the processing tools to be like, so what did really bother me about that? And then you can come back and share with your partner, oh, I realized that triggered my insecurity of being abandoned or whatever. So having good communication tools. Yes.
Yeah, that sounds really helpful.
Don't do this alone.
Do we need to contain all of our parts? Is it healthy? Is it good? Is it possible? I see your face.
I don't know. I think when we're in our blue brain or our more level, we like our higher mind, our higher self, we want to keep them kind of all in check and we hear all their perspectives. I do think when we get more aroused or excited or anger, that's when our parts come out. And all of our parts just want to be heard and they want to be right. And learning more about them and not judging them, but treating them with curiosity. Like, so instead of containing our parts, be like curious, what is this about? Why does this part want to be wild?
Hmm. And I feel like I'm the partner that is like allowing is not the right word, but that's what's coming up. Like I'm so promoting of my partner's parts, all of my
Yeah.
partners. Like I love that my girlfriend Steph is wild. She's like a wild little butterfly. And she's like constantly at a ISTA program, out of this, out of that, learning something new, like totally embraces her sexuality. There's nothing off limits. And I see like parts of my husband that I'm like, please go figure that out. Like, go explore that, full permission. There's no rules. I have no rules on anybody.
But he has rules.
He has
He
rules.
has
Yeah.
parts with rules. And
Yeah.
so, like, for him, like from this exchange that happened, where he might look at is, I wonder why, when I did something that I felt shame about, what part in me wanted to shrink away and hide and not be forthcoming.
Mm.
And somewhere he learned that that was what was going to keep him safe.
Sure.
Yeah.
Probably a
And
little boy
so,
part. Like we all
yeah,
have those parts in us. Yeah.
totally. Like
Yeah.
that is the way I'm going to get in the least amount of
I
trouble.
didn't steal the cookies, I promise. But you
Right.
did.
Yes. Right. And
And
if
they were
you can have
delicious.
compassion even for that part of your husband,
Hmm.
that he actually has a part with, he has some parts in him that have a lot of rules and maybe have a lot of shame and have a lot of you should, you shouldn't. And they're not as easy to like, they're not willing to step back.
Yeah, and I imagine in most partnerships, one person is that way. One out
Yeah.
of both of them. I'm sure both of them aren't typically like, be free, be wild like a butterfly, like me, like go do your thing and send me pictures.
Right. And we think because we feel that way, we give them permission that it will just, why wouldn't they just go do it? We forget.
I have a question for you. Like, as I've been listening to you over this last hour, I'm like, how does Mindy present her? And I don't know if you're married or not married, but if you were dating, how do you present to other people? Because you're like next level, right? Like you're going to be like this wild butterfly. So how do you tell a potential partner, this is who I am. This is how I view life. And like, we don't need rules. And like, there is no infidelity. And like, how do you put that in a dating profile?
I try not to do any of that because it's almost like it's so meta or it's so above that what I find is then people get stuck in their head and the philosophy and the theories, and then it's not really sexy up here.
Yeah.
And so it's, a lot of times I try to just drop all of this and just be like not thinking about all these things,
Huh.
just showing up um, authentically because what I find I can do is talk too much about theories. And then people like you build a lot of friendships and you build a lot of theorists and you build a lot of intellectuals and people who want to talk a lot. But then it's kind of like, where's the Mindy that's not thinking all the time? And
Hmm.
let her come out and just be fun and playful.
Yeah. And I imagine that
Yeah.
your partners are like, man, I wish everybody was like you. I hear that a lot. They're like, you're so sexually open and you're just like so aware and so free. And I'm like, I think we can all be this.
Yes,
We just
but does
overthink
that
the
always
fuck at
create
everything.
attraction? Some people, I think they can admire that,
Mm.
but then there's not an attraction to that because people are attracted to also not always openness, sometimes constraints or
Mhm.
challenges or problems. Yeah.
But that's okay. That's my own
Yes.
natural repellent because I don't want those people
You
to
don't
be
want those.
partners for me.
Oh,
I'm
I
like,
love that.
I don't need a drama spiral every 5 minutes in my life. I need you to go be like living your own best life and figuring out what's cool and fun and sharing it with me. This conversation has literally blown my brain because this is not at all how I thought this was going to go, which is amazing because it challenged me. Like I don't have a lot of conversations on here where I'm like, fuck, I need to level up. But I totally felt that. And listeners, if you're in line with me and you're like, my brain's also completely blown out, and this is such a new, refreshing way to look at my own relationship or potential relationships with new partners, this is a way I want to live, or I'm really struggling in my relationship, I would love Mindy's help. I love the up level program, and I'm definitely curious to check in more with that as well. And it sounds like you're one of the coaches as well. Tell the listeners, like, how can we get more of Mindy? What do you have going on?
My Instagram is Mind Glow Magic. And that's because Mindy Glover and magic. And so and I like to make minds glow. So Mind Glow Magic is my Instagram. And I'm just really starting off with offerings of my workshops. My day to day, I am working in a clinic as a therapist. I'm seeing a lot of couples and stuff there and really work in this field of infidelity repair.
Mm.
Um, I'm
Do
going
you
to be
do
putting
telehealth,
workshops.
Mindy, or just
I
specific to your
do
state?
all telehealth. Telehealth in Minnesota and Colorado.
Okay.
And then starting more coaching, reaching broader audiences, I'm going to be, because I also feel like it's so helpful. So this fall, I'm going to be teaching Sex, Money, and Dishes, which is my workshop brand, where we basically kind of talk about all of these things here and get the up level skills and the communication skills for how we deal with any fights, whether it's over sex, money, dishes, any disagreement, kind of write those infidelity packs or your infidelity stories so we all know what we're talking about. So I'm gonna do that this fall. So reach out to me at my Mind Glow Magic. My website is also mindglowmagic.com.
Okay.
So you can reach out to me there
Awesome. I'll make
and
sure and put all
find
those
out
links
more.
below. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm curious with your coaching because we can't all do telehealth in these two specific states. Do you do coaching?
Yes.
Would
So
you do
that's where the
telehealth coaching?
coaching, the workshop coaching and starting to do more long, like intensive weekends and stuff like that. So this fall, the 4-session workshop will be open to everyone because it will be coaching skills. Yeah.
Is it live?
Communication.
Is it a live group?
It will be live. Yeah.
Awesome. I love a live group. Okay, guys, you have all different kinds of ways to connect with Mindy. I'll put her Instagram below. She's got workshops if you're in Minnesota or Colorado, right? So,
Minnesota or Colorado therapy.
licensed
Yeah.
therapist there. She's got coaching and then sex, money, and dishes, 4 sessions live. I definitely want to check that out. That sounds super amazing and fantastic. Mindy, thank you for coming on today and for completely blowing our minds. Anything
This
you
was
want to leave the
wonderful.
listeners with?
I think instead, here's my leaving people with. Instead of opening or going into a relationship saying, I'm not worried because I know everything my partner's going to do, I encourage everyone to switch to say, I'm excited because I have no idea what my partner is going to do.
Thank you for listening to the Open Bedroom Podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, go ahead and give us a like and click subscribe below and stay up to date on all the new episodes that we release. If you have a topic that you'd really like more information on, leave us a comment below and we'll see what we can do. Feel free to share this podcast with all of your friends and especially your partners. This is a great way to open up some amazing conversations. We'll see you next week.